Hello, this is Billy the Shakespeare's back again to continue bringing you the best classic literature has to offer from the Monroe County Civic Theater. Remember, what makes us great is you and your contributions, whether they be artistic or financial. Find out how to contribute at www.mcct.org. We present to you today part 2 of the Henriade play King John. The play is named for John, but I still think Philip is the coolest cat in the play. With that said, here is King John Part 2 from the MCCT.
Now, by my life, this day grows wondrous hot. Some airy devil hovers over the sky and pours down mischief. Austria's head lie there, while Philip breathes.
Hubert, keep this boy. Philip, make up. My mother is assailed in our tent and ta'en, I fear.
My lord, I rescued her. Her highness is in safety, fear you not. But on my liege, very little pains will bring this labor to an happy end.
So shall it be. Your grace shall stay behind, so strongly guarded. Cousin, look not sad. Thy grandam loves thee, and thy uncle will as dear be to thee as thy father was.
Oh, this will make my mother die with grief.
Cousin, away for England, haste before, and ere our coming, see thou shake the bags of hoarding abbots, imprisoned angels set at liberty. The fat ribs of peace must by the hungry now be fed upon. Use our commission in his utmost force.
Bell, book, and candle shall not drive me back, when gold and silver becks me to come on. I leave your highness. Grandam, I will pray if ever I remember to be holy for your fair safety. So I kiss your hand.
Farewell, gentle cousin.
Cuz, farewell.
Come hither, little kinsman. Hark, a word.
Come hither, Hubert. Oh, my gentle Hubert, we owe thee much. Within this wall of flesh, there is a soul counts thee her creditor, and with advantage means to pay thy love. And my good friend, thy voluntary oath lives in this bosom, dearly cherished. Give me thy hand. I had a thing to say, but I will fit it with some better time. By heaven, Hubert, I am almost ashamed to say what good respect I have of thee.
I am much bounden to your majesty.
Good friend, thou hast no cause to say so yet, but thou shalt have. And creep time ne'er so slow, yet it shall come for me to do thee good. I had a thing to say, but let it go. The sun is in the heaven, and the proud day, attended with the pleasures of the world, is all too wanton and too full of gods to give me audience. If the midnight bell did with his iron tongue and brazen mouth sound on into the drowsy race of night, if this same were a churchyard where we stand, and thou possessed with 1,000 wrongs, or if that surly spirit melancholy had baked thy blood and made it heavy, thick, which else runs tickling up and down the veins, making that idiot laughter keep men's eyes and strain their cheeks to idle merriment, a passion hateful to my purposes, or if that thou couldst see me without eyes, hear me without thine ears, and make a reply without a tongue, using conceit alone, without eyes, ears, and harmful sound of words, then in despite of brooded, watchful day, I would into thy bosom pour my thoughts, but I will not. Yet I love thee well, and by my troth I think thou lovest me well.
So well that what you bid me undertake, though that my death were adjunct to the act, by heaven I do't.
Do not I know thou wouldest? Good Hubert, 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 throw thine eye on yon young boy. I'll tell thee what, my friend, he is a very serpent in my way. And wheresoe'er this foot of mine doth tread, he lies before me. Dost thou understand me? Thou art his keeper.
And I'll keep him so that he shall not offend your majesty.
Death,
My lord,
a grave.
he shall not live.
Enough. I could be merry now, Hubert. I love thee well. I'll not say what I intend for thee. Remember, madam, fare you well. I'll send those powers o'er to your majesty.
My blessing go with thee.
For England, cousin, go. Hubert shall be your man. Attend on you with all true duty. On towards Calais, ho!
Oh, by a roaring tempest on the flood, a whole armado of convicted sailors scattered and disjoined from fellowship.
Courage and comfort, all shall yet go well.
What can go well when we have run so ill? Are we not beaten? Is Angiers not lost? Arthur ta'en prisoner, divers dear friends slain, and bloody England into England gone, or bearing interruption spite of France?
He hath one that hath thee fortified, so hot a speed, with such advice disposed, such temperate order, and so fierce a cause, doth want example, who hath read or heard of any kindred action like to this?
Well could I bear that England had this praise, so we could find some pattern of our shame. Look who comes here, a grave unto a soul, holding the eternal spirit against her will, though in the vile prison of afflicted breath. I prithee, lady, go away with me.
Lo now serious you of your peace.
Patience, good lady, comfort, gentle Constance.
No, I defy all counsel, all redress, but that which ends all counsel, true redress, death. Death, oh, amiable, lovely death, thou odoriferous stench, sound rottenness, arise forth from the couch of lasting night, thou hate and terror to prosperity, and I will kiss thy detestable bones, and put my eyebrows in thy vaulting brows, and wring these fingers with thy household worms, and stop this gap of breath with fulsome doth, and be a carrion monster like yourself. Come, grin on me, and I will think thou smilest, and buss thee as thy wife. Miseries, love, oh, come to me.
Oh, fair affliction, peace.
No, I will not, having breath to cry. Oh, that my tongue were in the thunder's mouth, then with a passion would I shake the world, and rouse from speech that fell anatomy, which cannot hear a lady's feeble voice, which scorns a modern invocation.
Lady, you utter madness and not sorrow.
Oh, thou art not so holy as to belie me so. I am not mad. This hair is mine. My name is Constance. I was Geoffrey's wife. Young Arthur is my son, and he is lost. I am not mad. I would to heaven I were, for then 'tis like I should forget myself. If I could, what grief should I forget? Preach some philosophy to make me mad, and thou shalt be canonized, Cardinal. For being not mad, but sensible of grief, my reasonable parts produces reason, how I may be delivered of these woes, and teaches me to kill or hang myself. If I were mad, I should forget my son, or madly think a babe of clouts, were he. I am not mad. Too well, I feel the different plague of each calamity.
Bind up those tresses. Oh, what love I note in the fair multitude of those her hairs. Where but by a chance a silver drop hath fallen, even to that drop 10,000 wiry friends do glue themselves in sociable grief, like true inseparable faithful loves, sticking together in calamity.
But to England, if you will.
Bind up your hairs.
Ah, yes, that I will. And wherefore will I do it? I tore them from their bonds and cried aloud, oh, get these hands, could so redeem my son as they have given these hairs their liberty. But now I envy them their liberty, and will again commit them to their bonds, because my poor child is a prisoner. And Father Cardinal, I have heard you say that we shall see our friends in heaven. If that be true, I shall see my boy. And for since the birth of Cain, the first male child, to him that did but yesterday suspire, there was not such a gracious creature born, that now will canker sorrow eat my bud, and chase the native beauty from his cheek, and he will look as hollow as a ghost, as dim and meager as an ague's fit, and so he'll die, and rising so again, when I shall meet him in the court of heaven, I shall not know him. Therefore, never, never must I behold my pretty Arthur more.
You hold too heinous a respect of grief.
He talks to me who never had a son.
You are as fond of grief as of your child.
Grief fills the room up of my absent child. Lies in his bed, he walks up and down with me, puts on pretty looks and repeats his words, remembers me of all his gracious parts, stuffs out his garments with his form. Then I have reason to be fond of grief. Fare you well. Had you such a loss as I could not give better comfort than you. I will not keep this form upon my head when there is such disorder in my wit. Oh, Lord, my boy, my Arthur, my fair son, my life, my joy, my food, my all the world, my widow comfort, and my sorrow's cure.
I fear some outrage, and I will follow her.
There's nothing in this world can make me joy. Life is as tedious as a twice-told tale, vexing the dull ear of a drowsy man. And bitter shame hath spoiled the sweet world's taste, that it yields not but shame and bitterness.
Before the curing of a strong disease, even in the instant of repair and health, the fit is strongest. Evils that take leave on their departure most of all show evil. What have you lost by losing of this day?
All days of glory, joy, and happiness.
If you had won it, certainly you had. No, no. When fortune means to men most good, she looks upon them with a threatening eye. 'Tis strange to think how much King John hath lost in this, which he accounts so clearly won. Are not you grieved that Arthur is his prisoner?
As heartily as he is glad he hath him.
Oh, your mind is all as youthful as your blood. Now hear me speak with a prophetic spirit. For even the breath of what I mean to speak shall blow each dust, each straw, each little rub out of the path which will directly lead thy foot to England's throne. And therefore mark, John hath seized Arthur. And it cannot be that whilst warm life plays in that infant veins, the misplaced John should entertain an hour, 1 minute, nay, one quiet breath of rest. A scepter snatched with an unruly hand must be as boisterously maintained as gained. And he that stands upon a slippery place makes nice of no vile hold to stay him up. That John may stand and Arthur needs must fall, so be it, for it cannot be but so.
But what shall I gain by young Arthur's fall?
You, in the right of Lady Blanche your wife, may then make all the claims that Arthur did.
And lose it, life and all, as Arthur did.
How green you are and fresh in this old world. John lays you plots. The times conspire with you. For he that steeps his safety in true blood shall find but bloody safety and untrue. This act, so evilly born, shall cool the hearts of all his people and freeze up their zeal. That none so small advantage shall step forth to check his reign, but they will cherish it. No natural exhalation in the sky, No scope of nature, no distempered day, no common wind, no custom event. But they will pluck away his natural cause and call them meteors, prodigies, and signs, abortive presages and tongues of heaven, plainly denouncing vengeance upon John.
Maybe he will not touch young Arthur's life, but hold himself safe in his imprisonments.
Oh, sir, when he shall hear of your approach, if that young Arthur be not gone already, even at the news he dies, and then the hearts of all his people shall revolt from him, and kiss the lips of unacquainted change, and pick strong matter of revolt with wrath out of the bloody finger ends of John. Methinks I see this hurly all on foot. I know what better matter breeds for you than I have named. The bastard Falconbridge is now in England ransacking the church, offending charity. If but a dozen French were there in arms, there would be as a call to train 10,000 English to their side. Or as a little snow tumbled about, anon becomes a mountain. O noble Dauphin, go with me to the king. 'Tis wonderful what may be wrought out of their discontent, now that their souls are top full of offense. For England go, I will wet on the king.
Strong reasons make strong actions. Let us go. If you say aye, the king will not say no.
Heat me these irons hot, and look thou stand within the arras. When I strike my foot upon the bosom of the ground, rush forth and bind the boy, which you shall find with me, fast to the chair. Be heedful, hence, and watch.
I hope your warrant will bear out the deed.
Uncleanly scruples, fear not you. Look to't. Young lad, come forth. I have to say with you.
Good morrow, Hubert.
Good morrow, little prince.
As little prince, having so great a tide to be more than prince, as may be. You are sad.
Indeed, I have been merry.
Mercy on me! Methinks nobody should be sad but I. Yet I remember, when I was in France, young gentlemen would be sad as night, only for wantonness. By my Christendom, so I were out of prison and kept sheep, I should be as merry as the day is long. And so I would be here, but I doubt my uncle practices more harm to me. He is afraid of me, and I of him. Is it my fault that I was Geoffrey's son? No, indeed it is not, and I would to heaven I were your son, so you would love me, Hubert.
If I talk with him, with his infant prate, he will awake my mercy, which lies dead. Therefore I will be sudden and dispatch.
Are you sick, Hubert? You look pale today. In sooth, I would you were that a little sick, that I might sit all night and watch you. I warrant I love you more than you do me.
His words do take possession of my bosom. Read here, young Arthur, now foolish room, turning this piteous torture out of door. I must be brief, lest resolution drop out at mine eyes in tender womanish tears. Can you not read it? Is it not fair writ?
Too fairly, Hubert, for so foul effect. Must you, with hot irons, burn out both mine eyes?
Young boy, I must.
And will you?
And I will.
Have you the heart? When your head did but ache, I knit my handkerchief about your brows. The best I had, a princess brought it me, and I did never ask it you again. With my hand at midnight held your head, and, like the watchful minutes to the hour, still and anon cheered up the heavy time, saying, What lack you, and where lies your grief? Or, what good love may I perform for you? Many a poor man's son would have lied still, and ne'er spoke a loving word to you. But you at your sick service had a prince. Nay, you might think my love was crafty love, and call it cunning, do, and if you will. If heaven be pleased that you may use me ill, why then you must. Will you put out mine eyes, these eyes that never did, nor never shall so much as frown on you?
I have sworn to do't, and with hot irons must I burn them out.
Ah, none but in this iron age would do it. The iron though itself red hot, approaching near these eyes would drink my tears and quench his fiery indignation, even in the matter of mine innocence. Nay, after that, consuming away in rust, but for containing fire to harm mine eye. Are you more stubborn, hard than a hammered iron? And if an angel should have come to me and told me Hubert should put out mine eyes, I would not have believed him. No tongue but Hubert's.
Come forth. Do as I bid you do.
Oh, save me, Hubert, save me! My eyes are out even with the fierce looks of these bloody men.
Give me the iron, I say, and bind him here.
Alas, what needs you be so boisterous rough? I will not struggle. I will stand stone still. For heaven's sake, Hubert, let me not be bound. Nay, hear me, Hubert. Drive these men away, and I will sit as quiet as a lamb. I will not stir, nor wince, nor speak a word, nor look upon the iron angrily. Thrust but these men away, and I'll forgive you, whatever torment you do put me to.
Go, stand within. Let me alone with him.
I am best pleased to be out, to be from such a deed.
Alas, then have chid away my friend. He hath a stern look, but a gentle heart. Let him come back, that his compassion may give life to yours.
Come, boy, prepare yourself.
Is there no remedy?
None but to lose your eyes.
Oh, heaven, that there were but a mote in yours, a grain, a dust, a gnat, a wandering hair, any annoyance in that precious sense. Then, feeling what small things are boisterous there, your vile intent must needs seem horrible.
Is this your promise? Go to, hold your tongue.
Hubert, the utterance of a brace of tongues must needs want pleading for a pair of eyes. Let me not hold my tongue, let me not, Hubert. Or, Hubert, if you will, cut out mine tongue, so I may keep mine eyes. Oh, spare mine eyes, though to no use, but still to look on you. Lo, by my troth, the instrument is cold and would not harm me.
I can heat it, boy.
No, in good sooth, the fire is dead with grief, being create for comfort, to be used in undisturbed extremes. See else yourself, there is no malice in this burning coal. The breath of heaven hath blown its spirit out, and strewn repentant ashes on his head.
But with my breath I can revive it, boy.
And if you do, you will but make it blush and glow with the shame of your proceedings, Hubert. Nay, it perchance will sparkle in your eyes, and, like a dog that is compelled to fight, snatch at his master that doth tar him on. All things you should use to do me wrong deny their office. Only you do lack that mercy which fierce fire and iron extends. Creatures of note for mercy-lacking uses.
Well, see to live. I will not touch thine eye for all the treasure that thine uncle owes. Yet I am sworn, and I did purpose, boy, with this same very iron to burn them out.
Oh, now you look like Hubert. All this while you were disguised.
Peace. No more adieu. Your uncle must not know, but you are dead. I'll fill these dogged spies with false reports. And, pretty child, sleep doubtless and secure that Hubert, for all the wealth of the world, will not offend thee.
Oh, heaven! I thank you, Hubert.
Silence, no more. Go closely in with me. Much danger do I undergo for thee.
Here once again we sit, once again crowned and looked upon, I hope with cheerful eyes.
This once again, but that your highness pleased, was once superfluous. You were crowned before, and that high royalty was ne'er plucked off. The face of men ne'er stained with revolt. Fresh expectation troubled not the land with any longed for change or better state.
Therefore, to be possessed with double pomp, to guard a title that was rich before, to gild refined gold, to paint the lily, to throw a perfume on the violet, to smooth the ice or add another hue unto the rainbow, or with taper light to seek the beauteous eye of heaven to garnish, is wasteful and ridiculous excess.
But that your royal pleasure must be done. This act is as an ancient tale new told, and in the last repeating troublesome, being urged at a time unseasonable.
In this the antic and well-noted face of plain old form is much disfigured, and like a shifted wind unto a sail, it makes the course of thoughts to fetch about, startles and frights consideration, makes sound opinion sick, and truth suspected for putting on so new a fashioned robe.
When workmen strive to do better than well, they confound their skills in their covetousness, and oft times excusing of a fault doth make the fault worse by the excuse, as patches set upon a little breach discredit more in the hiding of the fault than did the fault before it was so patched.
To this effect, before you were new crowned, we breathed our counsel, but it pleased your highness to overbear it. And we are all well pleased, since all and every part of what we would doth make a stand of what your highness will.
Some reasons of this double coronation I have possessed you with, and think them strong, and more strong, when lesser is my fear I shall endue you with. Meantime, but ask what you would have reformed that is not well, and well shall you perceive how willingly I will both hear and grant you your requests.
Then I, as one that am the tongue of these, to sound the purposes of all their hearts, both for myself and them, but chief of all your safety, for the which myself and them bend their best studies, heartily request the enfranchisement of Arthur, whose restraining doth move the murmuring lips of discontent to break into this dangerous argument. If what in rest you have, in right you hold, why then your fears, which, as they say, attend up the steps of wrong, should move you to mew up your tender kinsman and choke his days with barbarous ignorance and deny his youth the rich advantage of good exercise, that the time's enemies may not have this to grace occasions. Let it be our suit that you have bid us ask his liberty, for which our goods we do no further ask, than whereupon our weal, on you depending, counts it your weal. He have his liberty.
Let it be so. I do commit his youth to your direction. Hubert, what news with you?
This is the man should do the bloody deed. He showed a warrant to a friend of mine. The image of a wicked, heinous fault lives in his eye. That close aspect of his does show the mood of much troubled breath, and I do fearfully believe 'tis done what we feared he had charge to do.
The color of the king doth come and go between his purpose and his conscience, like heralds twixt two dreadful battles set. His passion is so ripe, it needs must break.
And when it breaks, I fear will issue thence the foul corruption of a sweet child's death.
We cannot hold mortality's strong hand. Good lords, although my will to give is living, the suit which you demand is gone and dead. He tells us Arthur is deceased tonight.
Indeed, we feared his sickness was past cure.
Indeed, we heard how near death he was before the child himself felt that he was sick. This must be answered either here or hence.
Why do you bend such solemn brows on me? Think you I bear the shears of destiny? Have I commandment on the pulse of life?
It is apparent foul play, and 'tis shame that greatness should so grossly offer it. So thrive it in your game. And so, farewell.
Stay yet, Lord Salisbury, I'll go with thee, and find the inheritance of this poor child, his little kingdom of a forced grave, that blood which owed the breadth of all this isle, 3 foot of it doth hold, bad world the while. This must not be thus born. This will break out to all our sorrows, and ere long, I doubt.
They burn in indignation. I repent. There is no sure foundation set on blood, no certain life achieved by others' death. A fearful eye thou hast. Where is that blood that I have seen inhabit in those cheeks? So foul a sky clears not without a storm. Pour down thy weather. How goes all in France?
From France to England, never such a power for any foreign preparation was levied in the body of land. The copy of your speed is learned by them. For when you should be told they do prepare, the tidings comes that they are all arrived.
Oh, where hath our intelligence been drunk? Where hath it slept? Where is my mother's care that such an army could be drawn in France and she not hear of it?
My liege, her ear is stopped with dust. The 1st of April died your noble mother, and as I hear, my lord, the Lady Constance in a frenzy died 3 days before, but this from rumor's tongue. I idly heard it. True or false, I know not.
Withhold thy speed, dreadful occasion. Oh, make a league with me till I have pleased my discontented peers. What? Mother dead? How wildly then walks my estate in France, under whose conduct came those powers of France that thou for truth givest out our landed here.
Under the Dolphin.
Thou hast made me giddy with these tidings. Now, what says the world to your proceedings? Do not seek to stuff my head with more ill news, for it is full.
But if you be afeard to hear the worst, then let the worst unheard fall on your head.
Bear with me, cousin, for I was amazed under the tide. But now I breathe again aloft the flood, and can give audience to any tongue, speak it of what it will.
How I have sped among the clergymen, the sums I have collected shall express. But as I traveled hither through the land, I find these people strangely fantasied, possessed with rumors, full of idle dreams, not knowing what they fear, but full of fear. And here's a prophet that I brought with me from the streets of Pomfret, whom I found with many hundreds treading on his heels, to whom he sung in rude, harsh-sounding rhymes that ere the next Ascension Day at noon, your Highness should deliver up your crown.
Thou idle dreamer, wherefore didst thou so?
Foreknowing that the truth will fall out so.
You burn away with him, imprison him, and on that day at noon whereon he says, I shall yield up my crown, let him be hanged.
Hey, wait!
And return, for I must use thee. Oh, my gentle cousin, hearest thou the news abroad? Who are arrived?
The French, my lord, men's mouths are full of it. Besides, I met Lord Bigot and Lord Salisbury with eyes as red as new enkindled fire, and others more, going to seek the grave of Arthur, whom they say is killed tonight on your suggestion.
Gentle kinsman, go and thrust thyself into their companies. I have a way to will their loves again. Bring them before me.
I will seek them out.
Nay, but make haste, the better foot before. Oh, let me have no subject enemies when adverse foreigners affright my towns with dreadful pomp of stout invasion. Be Mercury, set feathers to thy heels, and fly like thought from them to me again.
The spirit of the time shall teach me speed.
Spoke like a spriteful noble gentleman. Go after him, for he perhaps shall need some messenger betwixt me and the peers, and be thou he.
With all my heart, my liege.
My mother dead?
My lord, they say 5 moons were seen tonight, 4 fixed, and the 5th did whirl about the other 4 in wondrous motion.
5 moons!
Old men and beldams in the streets do prophesy upon it dangerously. Young Arthur's death is common in their mouths. And when they talk of him, they shake their heads and whisper one another in the ear. And he that speaks doth gripe the hearer's wrist, and he that hears makes fearful action, with wrinkled brow, with nods and rolling eyes. I saw Smith stand with a hammer thus, the whilst his iron did on the anvil cool, with open mouth swallowing a tailor's news, who with his shears and measure in his hand, standing on slippers which his nimble haste had forcefully thrust upon contrary feet, told of a many thousand warlike French that were embattled and ranked in Kent. Another lean, unwashed artificer cuts off his tale and talks of Arthur's death.
Why seekst thou to possess me with these fears? Why urgest thou so often young Arthur's death? Thy hand hath murdered him. I had a mighty cause to wish him dead, but thou hadst none to kill him.
No had, my lord. Why did you not provoke me?
It is the curse of kings to be attended by slaves that take their humors for a warrant to break within the bloody house of life, and on the winking of authority to understand the law, to know the meaning of dangerous majesty when perchance it frowns more upon humor than advised respect.
Here is your hand and seal for what I did.
Oh, when the last account twixt heaven and earth is to be made, then shall this hand and seal witness against us to damnation. How oft the sight of means to do ill deeds make deeds ill done. Hadst not thou been by, a fellow by the hand of nature marked, quoted and signed to do a deed of shame, this murder had not come into my mind. But taking note of thy abhorred aspect, finding thee fit for bloody villainy, apt, liable to be employed in danger, I faintly broke with thee of Arthur's death, and thou, to be endeared to a king, made it no conscience to destroy a prince.
My lord.
Hadst thou but shook thy head, or made pause when I spake darkly what I purposed, or turned an eye of doubt upon my face, as bid me tell my tale in express words, deep shame had struck me dumb, made me break off, and those thy fears might have wrought fears in me. But thou didst understand me by my signs, and didst in signs again parley with sin, yea, without stop, didst let my heart consent, and consequently thy rude hand to act the deed which both our tongues held vile to name. Out of my sight, and never see me more. My nobles leave me, and my state is braved, even at my gates, with ranks of foreign powers. Nay, in the body of the fleshly land, this kingdom, this confine of blood and breath, hostility and civil tumult reigns between my conscience and my cousin's death.
Arm you against your other enemies. I'll make a peace between your soul and you. Young Arthur is alive. This hand of mine is yet a maiden and an innocent hand, not painted with the crimson spots of blood. Within this bosom never entered yet the dreadful motion of a murderous thought, and you have slandered nature in my form, which, howsoever rude exteriorly, is yet the cover of a fairer mind than to be butcher of an innocent child.
Doth Arthur live? Oh, haste thee to the peers, throw this report on their insensate rage, and make them tame to their obedience. Forgive the comment that my passion made upon thy feature, for my rage was blind, and foul imaginary eyes of blood presented thee more hideous than thou art. Oh, answer not, but to my closet bring the angry lords with all expedient haste. I conjure thee but slowly, run more fast.
The wall is high, yet I will leap down. Good ground, be pitiful and hurt me not. There's few or none do know me. If they did, this shipboy's semblance hath disguised me quite. I'm afraid, and yet I'll venture it. If I go down and do not break my limbs, I'll find 1,000 shifts to get away. As good to die and go as die and stay. Oh me! My uncle's spirit is in these stones. Heaven, take my soul. In England, keep my bones.
Lords, I will meet him at St. Edmundsbury. It is our safety, and we must embrace this gentle offer of the perilous time.
Who brought that letter from the cardinal?
The Count Maloon, a noble lord of France, whose private with me of the Dauphin's love is much more general than these lines import.
Tomorrow morning, let us meet him then.
Or rather than set forward, for 'twill be 2 long days' journey, lords, or ere we meet.
Once more today, well met, distempered lords. The king by me requests your presence straight.
The king hath dispossessed himself of us. We will not line his thin bestained cloak with our pure honors, nor attend the foot that leaves the print of blood where'er it walks. Return and tell him so. We know the worst.
Whatever you think, good words I think were best.
Our griefs and not our manners reason now.
But there is little reason in your grief, therefore 'twere reason you had manners now.
Sir, impatience hath its privilege.
'Tis true to hurt his master and no man else.
This is the prison. What is he lies here?
Oh, death, made proud with pure and princely beauty. The earth had not a hole to hide this deed.
Murder, as hating what himself hath done, doth lay it open to urge on revenge.
Or when he doomed this beauty to a grave, found it too precious princely for a grave.
Sir Richard, what think you? Have you beheld, or have you read, or heard, or could you think, or do you almost think, although you see that you do see? Could thought, without this object, form such another? This is the very top, the height, the crest, or crest unto the crest of murder's arms. This is the bloodiest shame, the wildest savagery, the vilest stroke that ever wall-eyed wrath or staring rage presented to the tears of soft remorse.
All murders past do stand excused in this. And this, so sole and so unmatchable, shall give a holiness, a purity to the yet unbegotten sin of times, and prove a deadly bloodshed but a jest, exampled by this heinous spectacle.
It is a damned and a bloody work, the graceless action of a heavy hand, if that it be the work of any hand.
If that it be the work of any hand. We had a kind of light what would ensue. It is the shameful work of Hubert's hand, the practice and the purpose of the king, from whose obedience I forbid my soul, kneeling before this ruin of sweet life and breathing to his breathless excellence the incense of a vow, a holy vow, never to taste the pleasures of the world, never to be infected with delight, nor conversant with ease and idleness, till I have set a glory to this hand by giving it the worship of revenge.
Our souls religiously confirm thy words.
Lords, I am hot with haste in seeking you. Arthur doth live. The king hath sent for you.
Oh, he is bold and blushes not at death. Avaunt, thou hateful villain, get thee gone.
I am no villain.
Must I rob the law?
Your sword is bright, sir. Put it up again.
Not till I sheathe it in a murderer's skin.
Stand back, Lord Salisbury. Stand back, I say. By heaven, I think my sword's as sharp as yours. I would not have you, Lord, forget yourself, nor tempt the danger of my true defense, lest I, by marking your rage, forget your worth and your greatness, your nobility.
Out, dunghill! Darest thou brave a nobleman?
Not for my life, yet I dare defend my innocent life against an emperor.
Thou art a murderer.
Do not prove me so. Yet I am none. Whose tongue soe'er speaks false, not truly speaks. Who speaks not truly, lies.
Cut him to pieces.
Keep the peace, I say.
Stand by, or I shall gall you, Falconbridge.
Thou wert better gall the devil, Salisbury, if thou but frown on me, or stir thy foot, or teach thy hasty spleen to do me shame. I'll strike thee dead. Put up thy sword betime, or I'll so maul you and your toasting iron that you shall think the devil is come from hell.
What wilt thou do, renowned Falconbridge? Second a villain and a murderer?
Poor bigot, I am none.
Who killed this prince?
'Tis not an hour since I left him well. I honored him, I loved him, and will weep my date of life out for his sweet life's loss.
Cross not these cunning waters of his eyes, for villainy is not without such room. And he, long traded in it, makes it seem like rivers of remorse and innocency. Away with me, all you whose souls abhor the uncleanly savors of a slaughterhouse, for I am stifled with this smell of sin.
Away, toward Barry, to the Dauphin there.
There tell the king he may inquire us out.
Here's a good world. Knew you of this fair work? Beyond the infinite and boundless reach of mercy, if thou didst this deed of death, art thou damned, Hubert?
Do but hear me, sir.
I'll tell thee what. Thou art damned as black. Nay, nothing is so black. Thou art more deep damned than Prince Lucifer. There is not yet so ugly a fiend of hell as thou shalt be if thou didst kill this child.
Upon my soul.
If thou didst but consent to this most cruel act, do but despair. And if thou want'st a cord, the smallest thread that ever spider twisted from her womb will serve to strangle thee. A rush will be a beam to hang thee on. Or wouldst thou drown thyself? Put but a little water in a spoon, and it shall be as all the ocean, enough to stifle such a villain up. I do suspect thee very grievously.
If I, in act, consent, or sin of thought, be guilty of the stealing that sweet breath which was embounded in this beauteous clay, let hell want pains enough to torture me. I left him well.
Go, bear him in thine arms. I am amazed, methinks, and lose my way among the thorns and dangers of this world. How easy dost thou take all England up? From forth this morsel of dead royalty, the life, the right, and truth of all this realm is fled to heaven, and England is now left to tug and scamble, and to part by the teeth the unowed interest of proud swelling state. Now for the bare-picked bone of majesty doth dogged war bristle in his angry crest, and snarleth in the gentle eyes of peace. Now powers from home and discontent at home meet in one line, and vast confusion waits, as doth a raven on a sick, fallen beast, the imminent decay of rested pomp. Now happy he whose cloak and kingshire can hold out this tempest. Bear away that child, and follow me with speed. I'll to the king. 1,000 businesses are brief in hand, and heaven itself doth frown upon the land.
Thus have I yielded up into your hand the circle of my glory.
Take again from this my hand, as holding of the Pope, your sovereign greatness and authority.
Now keep your holy word. Go meet the French, and from his holiness use all your power to stop their marches, for we are inflamed. Our discontented counties do revolt. Our people quarrel with obedience, swearing allegiance and the love of soul to stranger blood, to foreign royalty. This inundation of mistempered humor rests by you only to be qualified. Then pause not, for the present time so sick that present medicine must be ministered, or overthrow incurable ensues.
It was my breath that blew this tempest up upon your stubborn usage of the Pope. But since you are a gentle convertite, my tongue shall hush against this storm of war, and make fair weather in your blustering land. On this Ascension Day, remember well, upon your oath of service to the Pope, go I to make the French lay down their arms.
Is this Ascension Day? Did not the prophet say that before Ascension Day at noon, my crown I should give off?
Help!
Even so I have. I did suppose it should be on constraint, but heaven be thanked, it is but voluntary.
All Kent hath yielded, nothing there holds out but Dover Castle. London hath received like a kind host the Dolphin and his powers. Your nobles will not hear you, but are gone to offer services to your enemy. And wild amazement hurries up and down the little number of your doubtful friends.
Would not my lords return to me again after they heard young Arthur was alive?
They found him dead and cast into the street, an empty casket where the jewel of life by some damned hand was robbed and taken away.
That villain Hubert told me he did live.
So on my soul he did, for aught he knew. But wherefore do you droop? Why look you sad? Be great in act as you have been in thought. Let not the world see fear and sad distrust govern the motion of a kingly eye. Be stirring as the time, be fire with fire, threaten the threatener, and outface the brow of bragging horror. So shall inferior eyes that borrow their behaviors from the great grow great by your example, and put on the dauntless spirit of resolution away, and glister like the god of war when he intendeth to become the field. Show boldness and aspiring confidence. What, shall they seek the lion in his den and fright him there and make him tremble there? Oh, let it not be said. Forage and run to meet displeasure farther from the doors, and grapple with him ere he comes so nigh.
The legate of the Pope hath been with me, and I have made a happy peace with him, and he hath promised to dismiss the powers led by the Dolphin.
Oh, inglorious league, shall we upon the footing of our land send fair play orders and make compromise, insinuation, parley, and base truth to arms invasive? Shall a beardless boy, a cockred, silken, wanton, brave our fields and flesh his spirit in a warlike soil, mocking the air with colors idly spread, and find no check? Let us, my liege, to arms. Perchance the cardinal cannot make your peace, or if he do, let it at least be said they saw we had a purpose of defense.
Have thou the ordering of this present time.
Away then, with good courage. Yet I know our party may well meet a prouder foe.
Return the precedent to these lords again, that, having our fair order written down, both they and we, perusing o'er these notes, may know wherefore we took the sacrament, and keep our faiths violable.
Upon our sides it never shall be broken. And, noble Dauphin, albeit we swear a voluntary zeal and an unurged faith to your proceedings, yet believe me, Prince, I am not glad that such a sore of time should seek a plaster by contemned revolt, and heal the inveterate canker of one wound by making many. Oh, it grieves my soul that I must draw this medal from my side to be a widow maker. Oh, and there where honorable rescue and defense cries out upon the name of Salisbury. But such is the infection of the time that for the health and physic of our right we cannot deal but with the very hand of stern injustice and confused wrong. And is't not pity, O my grieved friends, that we, the sons and children of this isle, were born to see so sad an hour as this? wherein we step after a stranger march upon her gentle bosom and fill up her enemies' ranks. I must withdraw and weep upon this spot of this enforced cause, to grace the gentry of a land remote and follow unacquainted colors here. What? Here? O nation that thou couldst remove, that Neptune's arms who clippeth thee about would bear thee from the knowledge of thyself and grapple thee unto a pagan shore where these two Christian armies might combine the blood of malice in a vein of league, and not to spend it so unneighborly.
A noble temper dost thou show in this, and great affections wrestling in thy bosom doth make an earthquake of nobility. Oh, what a noble combat hast thou fought between compulsion and a brave respect. Let me wipe off this honorable dew that silverly doth progress on thy cheeks. My heart hath melted at a lady's tears, being an ordinary inundation. But this effusion of such manly drops, the shower blown up by tempest of the soul, startles mine eyes and makes me more amazed than I had seen the vaulty top of heaven, figured quite o'er with burning meteors. Lift up thy brow, renowned Salisbury, and with that great heart heave away this storm. Commend these waters to those baby eyes that never saw the giant world enraged, nor met with fortune other than at feasts, full of warm blood, of mirth, of gossiping. Come, come, for thou shalt thrust thy hand as deep into the purse of rich prosperity as Lewis himself. So noble shall you all, that knit your sinews to the strength of mine. And even there, methinks, an angel spake, look where the holy legate comes apace, to give us warrant from the hand of heaven, and on our actions set the name of rights with holy breath.
Hail, noble Prince of France. The next is this. King John hath reconciled himself to Rome. His spirit has come in that so stood out against the Holy Church, the great metropolis and see of Rome. Therefore thy threatening colors now wind up, and tame the savage spirit of wild war, that like a lion fostered up at hand, it may lie gently at the foot of peace, and be no further harmful than in show.
Your grace shall pardon me. I will not back. I am too high born to be property, to be a secondary at control, or useful serving man and instrument to any sovereign state throughout the world. Your breath first kindled the dead coal of wars between this chastised kingdom and myself, and brought in matter that should feed this fire. And now 'tis far too huge to be blown out with that same weak wind which enkindled it. You taught me how to know the face of right, acquainted me with interest to this land, yea, thrust this enterprise into my heart. And come ye now to tell me John hath made his peace with Rome? What is that peace to me? I, by the honor of my marriage bed, after young Arthur, claim this land for mine. And now it is half conquered, must I back because that John hath made his peace with Rome? Am I Rome's slave? What penny hath Rome borne? What men provided? What munitions sent? To underprop this action, is it not I that undergo this charge? Who else but I? And such as to my claim are liable, sweat in this business and maintain this war. Have I not heard these islanders shout out, Vive le roi? As I have banged their towns? Have I not here the best cards for this game to will this easy match, played for a crown? And shall I now give o'er the yielded set? No, no, on my soul, it shall never be said.
You look but on the outside of this work.
Outside or inside, I will not return to my attempt so much be glorified as to my ample hope was promised. Before I drew this gallant head of war and called these fiery spirits from the world to outlook conquest, and to will renowned even in the jaws of danger and of death. What lusty trumpet thus doth summon us?
According to the fair play of the world, let me have audience. I am sent to speak, my holy lord of Milan. From the king I come to learn how you have dealt for him, and as you answer, I do know the scope and warrant limited unto my tongue.
The Dauphin is too willful opposite, and will not temporize with my entreaties. He flatly says he'll not lay down his arms.
By all the blood that ever fury breathed, the youth says well. Now hear our English king, for thus his royalty doth speak in me. He is prepared, and reason too he should, this apish and unmannerly approach, this harnessed mast and unadvised revel, this unheard sauciness and boyish troops, the king doth smile at, and is well prepared to whip this dwarvish roar, this pygmy arms from out the circle of his territories. That hand which had the strength even at your door to cudgel you and make you take the hatch, to dive like buckets in concealed wells, to crouch in litter of your stable planks, to lie like pawns locked up in chests and trunks, to hug with swines, to seek sweet safety out in vaults and prisons, and to thrill and shake even at the crying of your nation's crow, thinking this voice an armed Englishman? Shall that victorious hand be feebled here, that in your chambers gave you chastisement? No. No, the gallant monarch is in arms, and like an eagle o'er his airy towers, to souse annoyance that comes near his nest. And you, degenerate, you ingrate, revolt, you bloody narrows, ripping up thy womb of your dear mother England. Blush for shame. For your own ladies and pale-visaged maids, like Amazons, come tripping after drums, their thimbles into armed gauntlets change, their needles to lances, and their gentle hearts to fierce and bloody inclination.
Therein thy brave, and turn thy face in peace. We grant thou canst outscold us. Fare thee well. We hold our time too precious to be spent with such a brabbler.
Give me leave to speak.
No, I will speak.
We will attend to neither. Strike up the drums and let the tongue of war plead for our interest and our being here.
Indeed, your drums being beaten will cry out, and so shall you being beaten. Do but start and echo with the clamor of thy drum, and even at hand a drum is ready braced that shall reverberate all as loud as thine. Sound but another, and another shall as loud as thine. Rattle the welkin's ear and mock the deep-mouthed thunder, for at hand, not trusting to this halting legate here, whom he hath used rather for sport than need, is warlike John, and in his forehead sits a bare-ribbed Death, whose office is this day to feast upon whole thousands of the French.
Strike up our drums to find this danger out.
And thou shalt find it, Dolphin, do not doubt.
How goes the day with us? Oh, tell me, Hubert.
Badly, I fear. How fares your majesty?
This fever that hath troubled me so long lies heavy on me. Oh, my heart is sick.
My lord, your valiant kinsman, Falconbridge, desires your majesty to leave the field and send him word by me which way you go.
Tell him towards Swinstead to the abbey there.
Be of good comfort, for the great supply that was expected by the Dauphin here are wrecked 3 nights ago on Goodwin Sands. This news was brought to Richard, but even now the French fight coldly and retire themselves.
Ay me, this tyrant fever burns me up and will not let me welcome this good news. Set on towards Swinstead, to my litter straight, Weakness possesseth me, and I am faint.
I did not think the king so stored with friends.
Up once again, put spirit in the French. If they miscarry, we miscarry too.
That misbegotten devil Falconbridge, in spite of spite, alone upholds the day.
They say King John, sore sick, hath left the field.
Oh, I am wounded. Lead me to the revolts of England here.
When we were happy, we had other names.
It is the Count Maloon?
Wounded to death.
Fly, noble English, you are bought and sold. Unthread the rude eyes of rebellion, and welcome home again discarded faith. Seek out King John and fall before his feet. For if the French be lords of this loud day, he means to recompense the pains you take by cutting off your heads. Thus hath he sworn, and I with him, and many mo with me, upon the altar of St. Edmundsbury, even on that altar where we swore to you, dear amity and everlasting love.
May this be possible. May it be true.
Have I not hideous death within my view, retaining but a quantity of life, which bleeds away even as a form of wax resolveth from his figure against the fire? What in the world should make me now deceive, since I must lose the use of all deceit? Why should I then be false, since it is true that I must die here and live hence by truth? I say again, if Lewis do will the day, he is forsworn, if ere those eyes of yours behold another daybreak in the east. But even this night, whose black contagious breath already smokes about the burning crest of the old feeble and day-wearied sun, even this ill night your breathing shall expire. Paying the fine of rated treachery, even with a treacherous fine of all your lives, if Lewis by your assistance win the day. Commend me to one Hubert with your king, the love of him and this respect besides, for that my grandsire was an Englishman. Awakes my conscience to confess all this, in lieu whereof I pray you bear me hence from forth the noise and tumor of the field, where I may think the remnants of my thoughts in peace, and part this body and my soul with contemplation and devout desires.
We do believe thee, and beshrew my soul, but I do love the favor and the form of this most fair occasion, by the which we will untread the steps of damned flight, and like a baited and retired flood, leaving our rankness and irregular course, stoop low within these bounds we have o'erlooked, and calmly run on in obedience even to our ocean, to great King John. My arm shall give thee help to bear thee hence, for I do see the cruel pangs of death right in thine eye. Away, my friends, new flight, and happy newness that intends old right.
The Son of Heaven, methought, was loath set, but stayed and made the Western welkin blush, when English measure backward their own ground and faint retire. Oh, bravely came we off, when with the volley of our needless shot, after such bloody toil, we bid good night, and wound our tottering colors clearly up, last in the field, and almost lords of it.
Where is my prince, the Dauphin?
Here, what news?
The Count Maloon is slain. The English lords by his persuasion are again fallen off. and your supply, which you have wished so long, are cast away and sunk on Goodwin sands.
Ah, foul, shrewd news. Beshrew thy very heart. I did not think to be so sad tonight, as this hath made me. Who was he that said, King John did fly an hour or two before the stumbling night did part our weary powers?
Whoever spoke it, it is true, my lord.
Keep good quarter and good care tonight. The day shall not be up so soon as I to try the fair adventure of tomorrow.
Who's there?
It's me.
Speak, ho! Speak quickly, or I shoot.
A friend, what art thou?
Of the part of England.
Whither dost thou go?
What's that to thee? Why, may I not demand of thine affairs as well as thou of mine?
Hubert, I think.
Thou hast a perfect thought. I will upon all hazard well believe thou art my friend that knowest my tongue so well. Who art thou?
Who thou wilt, and if thou please, thou mayst befriend me so much as to think I come one way of the Plantagenets.
Unkind remembrance, thou, an eyeless knight, have done me shame. Brave soldier, pardon me, that any accent breaking from my tongue should scape the true acquaintance of mine ear.
Come, sans compliment, what news abroad?
Why, here walk I in the black brow of night to find you out.
Brief, then, and what's the news?
Oh, my sweet sir, news fitting to the night, black, fearful, comfortless, and horrible.
Show me the very wound of this ill news. I am no woman, I'll not swoon at it.
The king, I fear, is poisoned by a monk. I left him almost speechless and broke out to acquaint you with this evil, that you might the better arm you to the sudden time than if you had at leisure known of this.
How did he take it? Who did taste to him?
A monk, I tell you, a resolved villain whose bowels suddenly burst out. The king yet speaks, and peradventure may recover.
Who didst thou leave to tend his majesty?
Why, know you not? The lords are all come back, and brought Prince Henry in their company, at whose request the king hath pardoned them, and they are all about his majesty.
Withhold thy indignation, mighty heaven, and tempt us not to bear above our power. I'll tell thee, Hubert, half my power this night, passing these flats, are taken by the tide. These Lincoln washes have devoured them. Myself, well mounted, hardly have escaped. Away before, conduct me to the king. I doubt he will be dead, or ere I come.
It is too late. The life of all his blood is touched corruptly, and his pure brain, which some suppose the soul's frail dwelling house, doth by the idle comments that it makes foretell the ending of mortality.
His Highness yet doth speak and holds belief that being brought into the open air, it would allay the burning quality of that fell poison which assaileth him.
Let him be brought to the orchard here. Doth he still rage?
He is more patient than when you left him. Even now he sung.
Oh, vanity of sickness! Fierce extremes in their continuance will not feel themselves. Death, having preyed upon the outward parts, leaves them invisible, and a siege is now against the mind, the which he pricks and wounds with many legions of strange fantasies, which, in their throng and press to that last hold, confound themselves. 'Tis strange that death should sing. I am a signet to this pale, faint swan who chants a doleful hymn to his own death, and from the organ pipe of frailty sings, his soul and body to their lasting rest.
Be of good comfort, Prince. For you are born to set a form upon that indigest which he hath left so shapeless and so rude.
Ay, marry, now my soul hath elbow room. It would not out at windows nor at doors. There is so hot a summer in my bosom that all my bowels crumble up to dust. I am a scribbled form drawn with a pen upon a parchment, and against this fire do I shrink up.
How fares your majesty?
Poisoned, ill fare, dead, forsook, cast off. And none of you will bid the winter come to thrust his icy fingers in my maw, nor let my kingdom's river take their course through my burned bosom, nor entreat the north to make his bleak winds kiss my parched lips and comfort me with cold. I do not ask you much. I beg cold comfort, and you are so straight and so ungrateful you deny me that.
Oh, that there were some virtue in my tears that might relieve you.
The salt in them is hot. Within me is a hell, and there the poison is as a fiend confined to tyrannize an unreprievable condemned blood.
Oh, I am scalded with my violent motion and spleen of speed to see your majesty.
Oh, cousin, thou art come to set mine eye. The tackle of my heart is cracked and burnt, and all the shrouds wherewith my life should sail are turned to one thread, one little hair. My heart hath one poor string to stay it by, which holds but till thy news be uttered. And then all this thou seest is but a clod and module of confounded royalty.
The dolphin is preparing hitherward, where God he knows how we shall answer him. For in a night the best part of my power is, as I upon advantage did remove, were in the washes all unwarily devoured by the unexpected flood.
You breathe these dead news as in dead an ear. My liege, my lord, but now a king, now thus.
Even so, I must run on. And even so stop. What surety of the world, what hope, what stay, when this was now a king and now is clay?
Art thou gone so? I do but stay behind to do the office for thee of revenge, and then my soul shall wait on thee to heaven, as it on earth hath been thy servant still. Now, you stars that move in your right spheres, where be your powers? Show now your mended faiths, and instantly return with me again to push destruction and perpetual shame out of the weak door of our fainting land. Straight let us seek, or straight we shall be sought. The dolphin rages at our very heels.
It seems you know not then so much as we. The Cardinal Pandolf is within at rest, who half an hour since came from the Dauphin, and brings from him such offers of our peace as we with honor and respect may take with purpose presently to leave this war.
He will the rather do it when he sees ourselves well sinewed to our defense.
Nay, 'tis in a manner done already, for many carriages he hath dispatched to the seaside, and put his cause in quarrel to the disposing of the cardinal, with whom yourself, myself, and other lords, if you think meet, this afternoon will post to consummate this business happily.
Let it be so. And you, my noble prince, with other princes that may best be spared, shall wait upon your father's funeral.
At Worcester must his body be interred, for so he willed it.
Thither shall it then, and happily may your sweet self put on the lineal state and glory of the land, to whom, with all submission, on my knee I do bequeath my faithful services and true subjection everlastingly.
And the like tender of our love we make, to rest without a spot forevermore.
I have a kind soul that would give you thanks, and knows not how to do it but with tears.
Oh, let us pay the time but needful woe, since it hath been beforehand with our griefs. This England never did, nor never shall, lie at the proud foot of a conqueror. But when it first did help to wound itself, now these her princes are come home again. Come the three corners of the world in arms, and we shall shock them. Naught shall make us rue, if England to itself do rest but true.
Adeline.
Bill Govey.
Diane Shoemaker.
Eric P. Van Gift.
Heather Lee Cameron.
Janet Templeton Heise.
Kenny Hertling.
Marty Casado.
Roy Sillings.
Steve Heise.
Zilia Balkanski Reyes.
Hello, this is Billy the Shakespeares. And you've just been listening to King John Part 2. This closes out this little part of the Henriade. Watch for Richard 2 coming up soon. Remember, the best part of MCCT is you, whether it's your contributions artistically or financially. So please look for us at www.mcct.org. Thank you and good night.